Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I thought I would make my own paper from scratch. And it's a strange one because at uni and at college, throughout the many years I've been in college and uni, I've always attended workshops for paper making crafts and kind of like demonstrations on how to make your own paper, but I never got round to doing it. I don't know why. Was I busy? Or could I not be arsed? One of the two. So today I thought that's what I'll finally get round to doing. Okay, so I did a little bit of research online trying to find a decent paper making craft kit, and all the ones I could find were really kitsch and they didn't seem to be like a proper kit for proper paper making. So instead I found this one on a site called georgewheel.com. Not sponsored or anything like that. And it cost me £44.20, which I think is quite expensive for a paper making craft kit, but we'll soon see. It might be absolutely amazing and worth the money. But it did look pretty decent. It's got all of this stuff in, and again it looks like a proper paper making craft kit. It says a paper making kit designed to teach you the basics of paper making. Learn how to make special, unique handmade paper. The kit contains, and then it contains a ton of stuff, including a paper making for the Terrified booklet, which I love that title, and that's by Kath Russin. So I'm looking forward to reading that, Kath. And this site as well has loads of stuff for paper making, but loads of other craft kits. I actually bought another of their craft kits for a future video because I thought it looked good, and if I spent so much money I got free shipping. But there's no reviews or anything like that, so I guess I'm going to be the first. And yeah, hopefully we can get some nice handmade paper from this little craft kit. That's the whole point. So this is how the little kit came, and it's in a pretty plain box with like a regular sticker on, but that's fine. It doesn't need to be in a fancy box, does it? Let's see what's inside. Okay, so we have a lot of bits in here. We've got some dried petals, some bits of fibre, like some thread stuff. The thing is, it's been a while since I've gone to one of those paper making demonstrations, so I do need a little bit of a refresher. I assume this is some sort of paper base. Ah, they're cotton linter sheets. I'm so angry with myself. Like, I never open kits. I never open kits before I actually record. And this is why I should. Because it already says on this little sticker, tear up sheets and soak overnight. We'll go through it and... I'm so pissed off. I'm so angry with myself. This is why you do your research, so you can prepare. Alright, well, we'll go through it and see what else we've got and see what I need to do. But I'm not going to be making paper today. So this is the paper making for the Terrified little pamphlet. I was expecting something a little bit more substantial. It's basically just printed on the A4 bit of paper and folded. It's not actually a booklet. It says that you need J-cloths or nappy liners. Well, I suppose they've given us J-cloths, but nappy liners, come on. A handheld blender. Ah, are you kidding? For some reason when I bought this kit, I thought that this kit had everything in it that you needed to make paper. And it doesn't. It doesn't have everything at all. I spent £44 on this. I was expecting if I needed a handheld blender, it would give us a handheld blender in it. I'm going to read up on this, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Do I have a handheld blender? I have a whisk. A whisk won't be the same, will it? No. I could go to the shop and buy one. Oh, I can't be bothered, though. Well, all I'm going to say is this is a lot of steps and a lot of instructions just to make a homemade bit of paper. Alright, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the shops and buy a blender. And apparently I need newspaper as well. So I'm going to pop to Asda, and hopefully they have a handheld blender. And then we'll move on to the first step of what looks like many steps. This kit is already pissing us off. I just wanted it to be easy. Right, well, let's go to the shops. The thing is, I'm more annoyed with myself now because I should have really read the instructions. I wanted to spend the entire day just hidden away in my little cave, minding my own business, not having to socialise, and now I have to go into the real world and talk to people and see people and touch things, and I'm just not in the mood. But I'm gonna go in and find a blender and some newspaper. Hopefully, if I don't, there's gonna be hell on. But I'm sure Asda will come through and have something for us. I'm just very upset with myself. Okay, well, I'm back from that little excursion. I've got my newspaper, I've got my blender. It's just irritating though that if you buy a craft kit, you would expect the craft kit to have everything in it you need to complete the craft. If blending was optional, I would 100% understand not putting a blender in. But if you need to blend it in order to make the paper, they could at least put a blender in it for you. Like this one cost us 10 quid. I'm sure they could find one for 5 quid and just whack it in there. Like in here you need a washing up bowl, but obviously you're not going to put a washing up bowl in there because the majority of people have some sort of washing up bowl or container or a bucket or something like that. But even newspaper, they could include a bit of newspaper in here too. So I can't really do much today apart from soak these linters in water. And this leaflet says paper making for the terrified, and it's all simplified and stuff like that. I don't find it very simplified because it uses sentences like this. If using linters or recycled papers, blend in the goblet of a liquidizer which is half filled with water, but be careful not to overload. What does that mean? What the hell's a goblet of a liquidizer? Is that just me? Is it me being an idiot? Or do other people not understand what a goblet of a liquidizer is? And there's a lot of other things in here as well. Prepare a gouching mound. What the hell's a gouching mound? This kit's really annoyed us, it really has. I was in an alright mood until I sat down and recorded, and then it's just pissed us off. So I think I'll do this first step, and it says to soak them overnight, but because it's morning, I think I might pick this back up a bit later on. Give it a few hours just to soak, and then we'll see what happens. I need more things now, I need a bucket of water. This also just comes down to me being incredibly unprepared. So I don't know whether to take it out on the craft kit in my final review, or whether I'm gonna go easy on it. We'll have to wait till the end to find out. I've just read another instruction on here as well. So it says like on the end, once you've cracked paper making, seal the paper by spraying the dry sheet with spray-on starch so you can then write or paint on it. But they haven't included starch. What have I paid 40 quid for? Some thread, some petals, a bit of plain paper, some frames, a cloth, and a shitty pamphlet? Like, I don't think so. Anyway, I'm gonna start this bit. Okay, so I need to tear these into strips and soak them in this water. And if anyone's wondering what these linters are, it basically just feels like paper. Just feels like just normal paper, cartridge paper. And I think this is basically so that this can all turn to mush, and then that's when you blend it. I think you could also just use regular old bits of paper. I don't think you need to use these special linter things. But I sat down today thinking paper making was just gonna be just so easy, and it turns out to be a pain in the ass. Okay, so my linters are soaking. I'm not sure whether I'll meet you back here later today, or whether it'll be tomorrow, or it might even be next week. I don't know. It depends. But hopefully I'll have calmed down a little bit by then. But this is the first step of making our own paper. It's been lovely. I'm really enjoying it. What a very rewarding experience. Okay, as you can see, it's a different day. It's actually the very next day. And I haven't really calmed down over how bad this kit is, because I've done some research online and I've come to a couple of conclusions. So one of these things, which is called a decal, you can actually buy one of these for about a tenner online. So in this kit, you've got this, some flower petals, thread, and some fibres. You get a cloth and a really shitty pamphlet for 40 odd pound. Oh, and some bits of paper. So I'm not happy with that. And also, I didn't need to soak this overnight. I watched someone else's video online, and if I'd bought a proper regular blender, I could have just added the paper to the blender, added the water to the blender, and then just blended it straight away. I didn't need to do this, so I'm irritated. But after watching other people's videos, I feel like I've got a better understanding of how to actually make paper. So that's what I'm finally going to do today. Right, I want to transfer this into a bucket before I blend it, because otherwise this is just going to go absolutely everywhere. I think I'm going to add some more water to it as well. And once I've got this blended, I'm going to pour bits of it into here to create different batches of paper pulp, ready to make different bits of paper, because I want to be quite experimental with it. Now that I've done a little bit of research, I know what you can do. You can add paint and all sorts. Whether it'll go well, I have no idea. Let's see if I can get this blended. A regular blender would have been so much easier for this. It keeps getting clogged up. Does this scare anyone else, the fact that I'm putting my fingers into a blender that doesn't have a guard on it? If you're gonna do this, unplug it, because you'll end up losing a finger. I should have bought a regular blender. I'm not going to the shops again, it's not happening. I'm just gonna make do with what I've got. This is taking so long with a hand blender. I'm getting there, I'm nearly done. There's still massive chunks of just unpulped paper in here. I've been doing this for like 10 minutes and it should only take you a minute if you had a normal blender. How have I still got big chunks of paper in here for? Okay, well I think I've got the bulk of it done. I'm gonna give it another blend anyway. But it basically turns to just like a regular, just basically like slop. Okay, so I just want to transfer a small amount of this pulp into here for one sheet of paper. How much will I need? That'll be a thick bit of paper. I'll add a little bit more. Okay, great. Love that. Then I'm gonna blend it again. I hope this works. My paper better look amazing. A hand blender was such a mistake. It just all gets tangled around. I'm sure the kit told us to buy a hand blender as well. I've unplugged it, don't worry. And then I'm gonna add some petals to this one. I'll just slop it around a bit. The thing is, I feel like I make things look really complicated, and I don't mean to. Like, I watched the other person's video on YouTube on how to make paper, and he was just like, just do this, then you do that, and then you've got a bit of paper. And I just don't do that, do I? Alright, let's see if I can make a bit of paper. So, I've got an extra thing of water here. So that bit of wire thing goes onto there, and then that just floats in like that. Okay, and that's basically your frame for your bit of paper. And then I just slot my paper into it. The guy I watched on YouTube, he did this with a regular blender and it looked so much easier. Just swill it around. I think you can just use your hands. By the sounds of things, you want it to be quite watery. Well, I think that looks nice. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know what I'm going for, really. I was clearly paying a lot of attention in them paper demonstrations, wasn't I? Alright, I think that's alright. I think my paper was definitely a bit too lumpy, but that's because I bought a hand blender. Okay, so, drain this off, right? Take that out, like so. And then apparently you want to sponge it to get any excess water off and to flatten it out a little bit. Oh, once I'm sponging it, it's looking okay, you know. It has a couple of holes in it, but that's the appeal with handmade paper. It gets very wet. It's quite surprising. And then I need to transfer this out of here onto this bit of paper thing. This is gonna go bad. How do I get it out? I can't get my paper off. Oh no! Ah! No! It took me so long to make this. I didn't realise it was going to come out so quick. It's okay. Can we salvage it? No, you ribbon! No! Ah! Ah! No. Ah! I'm gonna have to do it again. I'm so angry. It does come off, it just flops off. Right, try that again. I'm basically doing exactly what I did last time, but I'm doing it all again because I ripped a bit of paper into complete shreds. I feel like I know what I'm doing now though. I'm proper sick of my life. I suppose also the way I do things is what normal people would do. I think when you watch other people do things on YouTube or wherever, and they make things look really easy, it's not really the reality, is it? I think it's because people cut the mistakes out and don't show you that they've probably spent about 20-30 minutes and had loads of different failed attempts before they got the perfect one, whereas I just show you absolutely everything. I feel like once I've got this one on to the drying section, everything's gonna go well. Because I'm gonna make some more, I'm gonna make some colourful ones. Try this again. So all I need to do is turn this upside down onto here and just give it a bit of a tap and it'll come off. Yeah. See, I wasn't expecting it to do that last time, and that's why it went wrong. There, a bit of paper. And now I just add some more paper towel over the top. Still very, very wet. Do I even trust myself taking this off the table? Where am I putting it? Right, I'm gonna put it on the floor. that wasn't too bad. That's how you make a bit of paper. Piece of piss. Now that I've mastered the basics, it's time to get experimental. I'm going to add some colour. So for this sheet of paper, I thought I would add some gold acrylic paint and some gold glitter. I haven't seen anyone else do that yet, so it'll either be a great idea or an awful idea. I just want a little bit of gold paint in here. Just regular acrylic paint. Lots of glitter. And I'm going to even add some chunky glitters. Oops, too many. Right, so just add our slop into here. And then basically just do exactly the same thing we did last time. Now, time to sponge off again. I feel like I'm becoming a pro at this now. Okay, and then just transfer it over again. You won't be able to see that up close, but it looks so nice. Right now, I'll just pop it with the other one if I can. You'd find this easier if you had more space. Okay, let's make another type of paper. Now for this one, I'm going to add some blue paint. I'm not going to change the coloured water because I can't be arsed, so I'm just going to do some more coloured paper. But I'm going to add some of the threads that this kit gave us. I'm wondering whether to put these threads in after I've blended it, because otherwise they're just going to wrap around the blending thing, aren't they? I'll add some of this in actually. That won't wrap around it, that'll be fine. Yeah, I think maybe you should put fibres in afterwards because they do wrap around the blender blade. It's okay though, I got them out. And then I'm just going to add some of these fibres just in like this, just to see what happens. I don't know whether this will do anything or whether this will be a mistake, but we'll soon see. But yellow and blue goes nice together. Yeah, this paper is going to be a very, very thick paper. And just like anything, I think some papers you'll make and you'll think, ugh, that looks awful. And then other papers you'll make and you'll be like, yeah. Because it's the kind of thing where you have no idea what it's going to look like until it's dry, I suppose. That is a really thick bit of paper. I don't know whether I'd even call that paper. I don't know what GSM that'll be. It'll be like 10,000 or something. Okay, so I think that's all the papers I'm going to make. I'm going to go away and sandwich these into some books because that's what I read in that awful little booklet, and that's supposed to keep everything flat. And now I think we just need to wait for them to dry, and then I'll meet you back here, and hopefully these papers have been worth all of this effort. Okay, I'm back with my final finished handmade papers, and I think they've turned out pretty decent. They are a little bit on the chunky side, and weirdly enough, the coloured papers, so the gold one and the blue one, the colours kind of faded as it's dried, so that's something to keep in mind if you're making your own paper. Also with the flower petal one, obviously the colours within the petals have kind of dispersed into the paper, but other than that, I'm pretty pleased with them. I think they've turned out alright. The glitter one was a little bit of a mistake, especially the chunky glitters, because these chunky glitters, they just fall off. I keep finding them everywhere. So I think maybe keep your glitter fine if you're going to do a glitter paper. But I'm pretty pleased, you know, it's paper. It's definitely paper. I think after doing this whole paper making process, if I was to make my paper in the future, which I think I might, because I did actually quite enjoy it once I got the hang of it, I think they'll turn out a lot better. I think this whole video was basically just a massive learning experience. As for this paper making kit, I'm going to have to give it 1 bit of paper out of 5 because I didn't think it was value for money at all. But if any expert paper makers disagree, then let me know in the comments because I literally had no idea what to expect. But if you did enjoy today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And because I think I do want to make some paper in the future, if you do have any very constructive tips, then feel free to let me know in the comments. I think it was the blending. I think the blending really tripped me up. But I still got paper, so it wasn't a complete disaster. Anyway, I'll see you next week for a brand new video.